Have you ever felt like you're giving everything you've got but receiving nothing in return? You're pouring your time, energy, and love into others, yet it feels like you're always running on empty. It's exhausting. And worse, it feels like no matter how much you give, the results never seem to reflect your effort. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many of us fall into the trap of overgiving, sacrificing our own needs for the sake of others, often without even realizing the toll it's taking on us. The good news, it doesn't have to stay this way. Today, we're going to dive into how overgiving is draining your energy, how to stop the cycle, and how you can start reclaiming your life. This isn't just about setting boundaries, it's about learning to live for yourself and realizing that your worth is not in what you give, but in who you are. Get ready, because this is the moment where everything changes for you. Overgiving isn't just about doing too much for others. It's about what you lose in the process: your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. You give and give, expecting something in return, but what you get is often disappointment, exhaustion, and resentment. Emotionally, it drains you. You might not even realize how much of yourself you're losing until it's too late. Your emotional tank starts to run dry, leaving you feeling irritable, disconnected, and burned out. Physically, it takes a toll too. You might feel tired all the time, even after a full night's sleep. When you're giving without receiving, you're constantly on empty. This emotional and physical toll is often invisible to others, but it's real and it's affecting you more than you realize. And here's the kicker: no matter how much you give, your efforts don't always yield the results you expect. You're stuck in a cycle where the more you give, the more you deplete yourself, and the less you get in return. It's a trap. If you don't break this cycle, you'll keep giving away your peace, your happiness, and ultimately your health. So, why do we overgive? It's often rooted in a mindset that tells us we have to constantly prove our worth through what we do for others. Maybe it's the fear of letting people down. We believe that if we don't give everything we have, we'll be seen as selfish, unloving, or inadequate. But that mindset comes at a price. It drains your energy and your sense of self. You start to base your worth on how much you can do for others, and in turn you neglect your own needs. This is the essence of people-pleasing. You're trying to earn approval, love, or validation through your actions. But the truth is, no matter how much you give, it will never be enough if you don't give to yourself first. The need for external validation keeps you stuck in a cycle where your happiness and self-worth are always tied to others' perceptions. But what if you could let go of that? What if you could believe that you're valuable just as you are, without needing to prove it? That's when the shift happens, when you stop living to please others and start living for yourself. Overgiving doesn't just leave you feeling empty, it leads to burnout and frustration. You keep pouring from an empty cup, and eventually you'll have nothing left to give. You become resentful of the people you're giving to, and they don't even realize it. You start to feel unseen and unappreciated. Relationships start to suffer because you're giving without receiving, and deep down you feel unimportant. The same goes for your career. When you're constantly giving without setting limits, your value is diminished. You become a doormat, a person others rely on for everything, but no one sees your worth. And the ripple effects of overgiving don't stop there. They extend to your mental health, your physical health, and your overall happiness. If you don't break this cycle, you'll end up not only resenting others, but also resenting yourself. The longer you stay in this trap, the harder it becomes to break free. The solution to overgiving is setting boundaries. Boundaries are your defense against burnout. They're the lines you draw to protect your time, your energy, and your well-being. The first step is recognizing that boundaries are non-negotiable. If you don't protect yourself, no one else will. Setting boundaries means learning to say no without guilt. This can be tough, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything. But let me tell you something, saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do. When you say no, you're saying yes to yourself. You're prioritizing your own needs over the constant demands of others. And here's the thing, when you learn to prioritize your needs, you'll be more energized, more focused, and more able to help others when it's truly necessary. Setting healthy boundaries is about being honest with yourself and others. It's about knowing when you've given enough and when it's time to step back. It's not easy at first, but every time you say no, you're strengthening your sense of self-worth. One of the key principles to breaking the cycle of overgiving is reciprocity. True success in any area of life comes from a balanced exchange. Giving and receiving go hand in hand. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's why it's essential to build relationships that are mutually beneficial. When you give, you also have to allow yourself to receive. Reciprocity means that your efforts are met with appreciation, respect, and return. It's not about keeping score, but about creating a flow of energy that benefits both sides. This isn't just theory, it's how healthy, thriving relationships are built. Whether it's in business or personal life, true success comes when both parties give and take. No more one-sided sacrifices. When you stop giving without receiving, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more valued, more fulfilled, and more energized. And guess what? You'll be able to give even more, but only when it's sustainable. Now let's talk about your worth. You are worthy of receiving as much as you give. The problem is, many of us have been taught to believe that we're only valuable when we're serving others. But that's a lie. Your value isn't based on how much you do for people, it's based on who you are. When you recognize your own worth, you stop overgiving. You stop sacrificing your energy, time, and happiness for others. You start protecting yourself because you understand that you matter. Strengthening your self-worth means valuing yourself enough to set boundaries, to say no when you need to, and to prioritize your own needs. When you embrace your worth, everything changes. You start attracting healthier relationships and your energy shifts. You no longer feel drained because you've learned to balance giving with receiving. Now that you understand the importance of boundaries, reciprocity, and self-worth, it's time to make the shift. Moving from a place of overgiving to one of balance won't happen overnight, but it is absolutely possible. Start small, set one boundary today, say no to something that drains you, then build on that. Create habits that reinforce this new mindset. Each day, choose to protect your energy and prioritize your own well-being. Consistency is key, and every time you hold firm to your boundaries, you reinforce your self-worth. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And as you build these new habits, you'll notice something incredible. You'll feel more alive, more present, and more connected. Your relationships will improve, your career will flourish, and most importantly, you'll finally be able to give from a place of abundance, not depletion. When you break free from the cycle of overgiving, you reclaim your life, you take back your energy, you start living for yourself, not for the approval of others. And that, my friends, is when real transformation happens. The path forward is clear, the choice is yours. You have everything you need to start living the life you deserve. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of giving and giving, only to feel more drained and unfulfilled as time goes on? Maybe it's in your personal life, your career, or your relationships. No matter where you turn, you're pouring your energy into others, but something's missing. The more you give, the less you get in return. The result? Exhaustion, frustration, and a deep sense of emptiness. Today, we're going to break that cycle. We're going to talk about the hidden price of overgiving, why it's draining you, and how to reclaim your power. It's time to stop sacrificing yourself for the sake of others and start living for yourself. The truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you want to thrive, you have to start by taking care of yourself first. This isn't about being selfish, it's about learning to give from a place of abundance, not depletion. Ready to make a change? Let's get started. How many times have you put someone else's needs ahead of your own, even when you knew it would cost you? It's easy to slip into the habit of sacrificing your own well-being for others, especially when you want to help or make others happy. But here's the reality: when you consistently put others first, you're paying a hidden price. You give your time, your energy, your love, and what do you get in return? Sometimes nothing. The emotional toll is immediate. You feel drained, like your battery is on empty, but you keep going thinking it's just a temporary thing. But when this becomes your norm, it takes a physical toll as well. You start feeling tired all the time, no matter how much rest you get. You might find yourself snapping at the people you love or just wanting to retreat into yourself. Overgiving is like a slow burn. It wears you down in ways you might not even notice until it's too late. You're not just giving, you're losing a piece of yourself every time you sacrifice your own needs for others. Overgiving doesn't just leave you feeling tired, it has real consequences that you can't ignore. One of the most dangerous consequences is burnout. Burnout isn't just being tired after a long day, it's the complete exhaustion of your physical and emotional resources. It sneaks up on you, leaving you with no energy, no motivation, and a sense that no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. Overgiving leads to frustration because the more you give, the less you get return, and the less you're able to give in the future. This frustration builds over time, and before you know it, you're caught in a cycle of giving that leaves you feeling empty, drained, and unappreciated. Your mental health starts to suffer as well. The constant stress of putting others before yourself chips away at your self-worth and confidence. You begin to feel like you're just going through the motions, disconnected from your own needs, desires, and dreams. The damage isn't always visible, but it's there, eating away at your ability to be truly present in your own life. Overgiving doesn't just steal your energy, it steals your time, your goals, and even your identity. How often have you found yourself so focused on helping others that you forget about your own dreams and aspirations? You give so much that there's no time left for your own passions or personal growth. You start to lose sight of who you really are because you're too busy being everything for everyone else. And the worst part, even after you've given everything, you're left feeling empty. You've poured your time and effort into others, but the reward doesn't fill the void. You feel unappreciated, and more importantly, you feel like you've lost touch with your own needs and desires. Over time, this erodes your sense of self-worth. You begin to believe that your value lies in what you give, not in who you are. But here's the hard truth: you're worth more than just what you can do for others. You're worth taking the time to care for yourself, to nurture your own dreams, and to protect your own happiness. It's time to face the hard truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving without refilling your own cup, eventually you'll have nothing left to give. give. That's why it's crucial to put yourself first. I'm not talking about being selfish, but about self-preservation. Your energy, your time, and your well-being are precious, and if you don't protect them, you'll end up burned out, resentful, and feeling unappreciated. The ironclad rule is simple: protect your energy or risk losing it all. When you overgive without boundaries, you end up in a constant state of depletion. You might give in the short term, but in the long run, you'll resent the very people you've been trying to help. Setting boundaries is not about pushing people away, it's about making sure you have enough to give without sacrificing your own well-being. If you don't take care of yourself, you'll have nothing left to give. The cycle of overgiving leads to resentment, burnout, and ultimately you losing the very thing that makes you capable of giving in the first place, your own strength. So let's stop pretending that overgiving is sustainable. It's time to take control and prioritize yourself. The best way to help others is to first help yourself. Have you ever caught yourself giving more than you have just to keep the peace or make someone else happy? It's like you're running on empty, constantly pouring from a well that's running dry. You keep pushing, thinking it's for a good cause, but the truth is you're not just giving, you're sacrificing yourself. And eventually it catches up with you. If this sounds familiar, it's time to dig deeper. In this speech, we're going to uncover the real reasons why you overgive, the mindset that drives it, and how to break free from it. Overgiving isn't just a bad habit, it's a pattern that starts in your mind. But once you understand it, you can rewrite the story. Today is about shifting the way you think, act, and most importantly, how you see your own worth. Get ready to take control, because the life you want doesn't come from giving more. It comes from giving in balance. Let's dive in. Overgiving isn't just something you do, it's something you believe. It's a mindset that gets deeply rooted in you over time, and it shapes everything you do. It's the thought that if you give enough, you'll be loved, appreciated, or accepted. This belief is dangerous because it turns giving into a condition for receiving something in return. But here's the thing, it's a trap. You're so focused on what you're doing for others that you don't stop to ask, what am I getting out of this? What am I losing? Overgiving becomes a habit, but it's more than just a routine action. It's a mental pattern that gets reinforced every time you sacrifice yourself. And over time, you become so used to it that you forget there's another way. You believe that giving is what makes you worthy, and you keep giving even when it drains you. The cycle continues and you start to lose sight of your own needs. Why do you overgive? Why do you keep sacrificing yourself when it feels like it's taking so much? One of the main reasons is the need for external validation. You tie your sense of worth to how others perceive you. If they're happy, you're happy. If they approve of you, you feel good about yourself. But this belief is a trap. The more you rely on others to define your worth, the more you give without receiving anything in return. And even if they express gratitude, it's never enough to fill the emptiness inside you. Another powerful belief that keeps you stuck is the fear of rejection or abandonment. You fear that if you stop giving, people will leave you or think less of you, so you keep overgiving, hoping that it will keep you safe and secure. But the irony is, the more you give in hopes of keeping others close, the more distant you become from your own needs. You start to lose yourself in the process. The false belief that your worth is tied to pleasing others is the core of this pattern. You have to break this belief if you ever want to stop overgiving. Your worth is inherent, not based on your ability to please others. Have you ever said no and felt like you were letting someone down? It's not just about refusing to help, it's about the guilt that follows. You feel guilty for not meeting someone's expectations, guilty for not being the person they want you to be, and that guilt becomes a chain that keeps you stuck in the cycle of overgiving. But let me tell you something, guilt is not a reflection of your worth. It's a tool that keeps you tied to unhealthy patterns. The fear of disappointing others is one of the biggest emotional blocks you'll face. The fear that if you don't keep giving, you'll be seen as selfish, lazy, or unworthy. This fear controls your actions and prevents you from setting boundaries. But here's the reality: when you're constantly worried about disappointing others, you end up disappointing yourself. You let your own needs go unmet, your own goals stay on hold, and your own dreams remain unfulfilled. The truth is, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who values their own well-being. You have the power to let go of the guilt, to stop fearing disappointment, and to start prioritizing yourself without shame. The consequences of overgiving are not just physical, they are emotional, mental, and spiritual. Over time, giving without boundaries leads to depletion. You feel empty because you've been giving so much of yourself without replenishing. You've been pouring out without refilling. Your energy runs dry, your patience wears thin, and your capacity for joy shrinks. And that's not all. Emotionally, the chains of guilt and fear tie you down. You feel trapped, stuck in a cycle that you don't know how to break. You fear that if you stop giving, you'll lose the love and approval you've been seeking. But here's the hard truth: you can't keep giving without losing yourself in the process. If you don't break the cycle, you'll find yourself further away from your true self, from your goals, and from the life you truly want. Breaking free is essential. You deserve to live a life where you're not just giving, but receiving too. You deserve to feel whole, balanced, and empowered. The first step is understanding the root of overgiving and then taking the necessary action to stop it. Have you ever found yourself giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left to give? It feels like you're pouring your heart, your energy, and your time into others, but at the end of the day, you're left empty. You feel exhausted, yet there's a part of you that keeps pushing. Why? Because you're afraid that if you stop, you'll lose the people, the approval, or the love you crave. But here's the hard truth. You're not helping anyone when you neglect your own well-being. Overgiving doesn't just hurt you, it hurts those around you. Today, I'm going to show you the real cost of not changing, the hidden dangers that lurk beneath the surface. This is about more than just feeling tired. It's about your future, your growth, and your happiness. So let's dig into the price you pay when you keep giving without considering the toll it's taking on you. Have you ever felt like you're running on fumes, but you keep pushing anyway? That's emotional burnout. It's what happens when you've been giving too much of yourself without stopping to refuel. When you overgive, you exhaust your emotional reserves. You give until there's nothing left, and at first you think you're doing the right thing. But over time, this constant giving takes its toll. It builds up slowly, until one day you find yourself burned out, emotionally drained, and feeling like you've lost your spark. It's not just physical exhaustion, it's mental and emotional too. You start to feel numb, detached, and like nothing really matters. You may even feel resentful of the very people you've been giving to, but you don't know how to stop. The worst part is when you ignore your own needs, your mental health starts to suffer. The more you sacrifice, the harder it becomes to feel joy, peace, or fulfillment. Overgiving doesn't just hurt you in the moment, it puts your emotional well-being at serious risk. Do you feel stuck, like you're doing everything for everyone else but nothing's changing for you? That's the cost of overgiving. When you focus all your time and energy on helping others, you miss the chance to focus on yourself. You sacrifice growth. Every moment you spend pouring into someone else's life is a moment you're not investing in your own. And over time, you begin to see your dreams, goals, and ambitions fading into the background. Overgiving keeps you stuck in the comfort zone. It keeps you focused on the needs of others, and it prevents you from stepping into the unknown, the place where real growth happens. You stay safe, but you don't thrive. Your potential remains untapped, your opportunities stay just out of reach. But here's the thing, you can't keep growing if you're constantly looking outside of yourself. If you keep putting others' needs ahead of your own, you'll never make the strides you're capable of. Do you feel like you've settled for less than you deserve? Maybe you've gotten comfortable with a life that isn't challenging, isn't exciting, and doesn't push you to grow. The problem with overgiving is that it encourages you to settle. You compromise your own goals because you think helping others is more important. But here's the thing, you deserve more. You deserve to live a life where you're not constantly giving away your power. You deserve to pursue your own dreams, chase your own ambitions, and live on your own terms. The longer you settle for less, the more you shrink your vision of what's possible. You start to believe that this is all there is, that your life has reached its peak, but I'm here to tell you it's not too late. You don't have to settle. You can break free from the trap of overgiving and demand more from life. It's time to recognize your worth and stop accepting less than you deserve. The consequences of overgiving don't just affect you, they ripple out and impact every area of your life. Let's talk about your career for a moment. How many times have you put others first at the expense of your own success? How many opportunities have you missed because you were too busy helping someone else? Overgiving in your career can keep you stuck in a job you don't love, working harder than necessary without the recognition or the promotion you deserve. But it's not just your career that suffers, it's your relationships too. Overgiving can cause resentment to build, even in your closest connections. You may feel unappreciated, and those around you might start to take you for granted. And don't forget the toll it takes on your health. Constantly sacrificing yourself physically and emotionally weakens your body and mind. The stress, exhaustion, and anxiety pile up. The truth is, overgiving doesn't just hurt you, it creates a chain reaction that affects everything you care about. The longer you ignore the signs, the more serious the consequences become. You can't keep sacrificing yourself without paying the price. It's time to break the cycle and take back control. The cost of not changing is real, and it's taking more from you than you realize. But you have the power to stop it. You have the ability to reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. It's time to change. It's time to prioritize yourself, set boundaries, and step into the life you were meant to live. Have you ever found yourself drained, overwhelmed, and wondering why it feels like you're constantly running on empty? The truth is, you're giving too much of your time, your energy, and your emotions. You've been trying to meet everyone else's needs, but in the process, you've neglected your own. I know it feels good to help, to support, and to be there for others. But at what cost? When was the last time you stopped and asked yourself, how much am I sacrificing? How much of me is left? Today marks the day where we take control back. I'm going to show you how setting boundaries is the first step toward reclaiming your power. This isn't just about saying no, It's about saying yes to your own well-being, your happiness, and your peace of mind. It's about putting yourself first without guilt or shame. So let's dive into the critical steps that will help you regain your energy in your life. Living without boundaries is like opening a door and letting everyone walk into your life and take what they want. You give them your time, your energy, your emotions, but what do you have left for yourself? The answer is simple: nothing. You feel drained because you're constantly trying to meet other people's expectations. The pressure mounts, and before you know it, you're overwhelmed and burnt out. The danger of living without boundaries is that others will fill your time and energy without a second thought. They might not even realize they're doing it, but the impact on you is real. Without boundaries, you allow people's demands to dictate how you spend your time, how much you give, and how much you lose. Setting boundaries is the first step in taking control of your life. It's the line you draw in the sand, where you stop giving away everything you have and start protecting your own energy. Boundaries are not just a shield, they're the foundation of healthy relationships and a fulfilling life. Without them, you are at risk of losing yourself in the noise of the world, but with them, you take back control. One of the most powerful things you can do is know your limits. It's essential to recognize when you've given enough and when you need to step back. But here's the catch. Most of us don't know our limits because we've never taken the time to reflect on them. You've been going through the motions, work, family, friends, without checking in with yourself. The key to identifying your limits is self-awareness. Start asking yourself, how do I feel right now? Am I physically drained? Am I emotionally exhausted? You need to pay attention to the signs your body and mind are sending you. Your emotional limit might show up as irritability, stress, or anxiety. Your physical limit might feel like a heavy fatigue you can't shake off. And your mental limit might be the feeling of being mentally foggy or unfocused. These are the moments when you need to pause and ask yourself, have I reached my limit? Self-check-ins are vital to understanding where your boundaries need to be set. Without this reflection, you risk overextending yourself, and that's when burnout creeps in. Knowing where your limits lie gives you the clarity to say enough before it's too late. I know saying no feels uncomfortable. We've been taught to be helpful, to say yes, to avoid disappointing others. But here's the truth, saying no is not a weakness, it's a strength. When you say no, you're saying yes to your own well-being. You're saying I value myself enough to protect my energy. And here's something powerful, you can say no without feeling guilty. Guilt is a trap. It's the voice in your head that tries to convince you that you're being selfish, that you're letting someone down. But that's not the truth. The truth is you can't give from an empty cup. Saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about honoring your own needs. The more you practice saying no, the easier it gets, and the more you start to realize how much power you've been holding back. Every no you say is a declaration that you respect yourself. And when you learn to say no without guilt, you free yourself from the toxic cycle of overgiving. This is your life, your time, your energy, and you get to decide where it goes. Reclaim your power by learning the art of saying no. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you made your needs a priority? For too long, you've been saying yes to everyone else. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you don't make yourself a priority, no one else will. Prioritizing your needs is not selfish, it's necessary. It's the key to living a fulfilled life. When you say yes to yourself, you're investing in your own happiness, growth, and health. Think about it. When you're at your best, you're better for everyone around you. You have more energy, more patience, and more clarity. You become a better friend, a better partner, a better parent, and a better worker. But it starts with you. You need to give yourself permission to put your needs first. This isn't about neglecting others. It's about understanding that you can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself first. So start saying yes to yourself. Start giving yourself the care and attention you deserve. And watch how everything around you begins to improve. The power to live a fulfilling life is in your hands. It's time to say yes to you. Setting boundaries is not just a skill, it's a way of life. It's about protecting your energy, taking control of your time, and prioritizing your needs. It's about saying no to the things that drain you, and yes to the things that fill you up. It's about creating space for growth, for joy, and for peace. Today is the day you start saying yes to yourself. So go ahead, set those boundaries, protect your energy, and reclaim your life. Have you ever felt like you've been running on empty, constantly giving and doing for others, yet still feeling drained, unnoticed, or undervalued? It's time for a shift. It's time to stop defining yourself by what you give and start recognizing your worth simply because of who you are. Self-worth isn't something that should be earned through sacrifice or measured by how much you can do for others. True self-worth is about recognizing your intrinsic value and living from that place of inner strength. Today we're going to talk about how embracing your self-worth will transform every aspect of your life. It's not just about feeling good, It's about setting healthy boundaries, protecting your energy, and creating a life that reflects the value you truly bring. So let's dive into how you can begin this powerful transformation today. Because when you realize your worth, everything else changes. Here's the hard truth. Your worth isn't tied to what you do for others. So often, we find ourselves caught in the trap of giving and doing, believing that our value comes from the sacrifices we make, the favors we do, and the way we care for others. But let me tell you something. Your worth is not earned through your actions. It's innate. You are valuable because of who you are, not because of how much you can give. When we start to break the link between self-worth and self-sacrifice, that's when things change. You stop giving out of obligation and start giving out of love and choice. You begin to love yourself for who you are, not for what you do. This shift in perspective will completely change the way you show up in the world. It will change how you live, how you love, and how you allow others to treat you. When you recognize your own value, you stop seeking validation from external sources and start living with confidence in your inherent worth. And trust me, when you do that, the way people treat you will reflect that. You'll attract relationships that honor your worth, not just what you can offer. When you know your worth, setting boundaries becomes a lot easier. Think about it. If you truly valued yourself, would you let people treat you in a way that undermines your energy, your time, and your peace of mind? Of course not. Recognizing your worth is the first step toward creating the healthy boundaries you need to protect your energy. When you honor your own needs, you set clear limits that allow for respect and growth, both for you and for others in your life. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being self-respecting. And let me tell you, you'll never feel guilty for setting boundaries when you understand that they're not just protecting you, they're also protecting the integrity of your relationships. Healthy boundaries allow relationships to thrive because they're built on mutual respect. When you stop overextending yourself and start setting clear boundaries, you'll notice a huge difference in how people respond to you. They'll respect you more. And in turn, your relationships will become stronger, more supportive, and more fulfilling. Remember, healthy boundaries aren't walls, they're the guidelines that ensure you have the space to grow and nurture the connections that truly matter. One of the most powerful tools you can use to strengthen your self-worth is the simple practice of self-affirmation. Daily affirmations are more than just words, they're a commitment to reminding yourself of your value. They're about reprogramming your mind to focus on your strengths, your achievements, and your worth. When you feel the sting of self-doubt creeping in, or when imposter syndrome tries to tell you that you're not enough, affirmations are your armor. Start small. Every day, repeat statements like, I am worthy of love, success, and happiness, or I bring value to the world simply by being me. These words may feel awkward at first, but they will begin to shift the way you see yourself. And trust me, the more you say it, the more you'll believe it. Affirmations work because they challenge the negative thoughts that hold us back. They replace those thoughts with truth, and over time, these truths begin to sink in. Use affirmations as a daily ritual. Write them down, say them out loud, and allow them to reinforce your worth. The more you affirm your value, the more you'll step into it. Do you often find yourself thinking there's not enough to go around? Not enough love, not enough success, not enough opportunity. That's a scarcity mindset. And let me tell you, it will hold you back. Scarcity thinking makes you believe that you have to compete for what you deserve, that someone else's success takes away from your own. But the truth is, abundance is all around you. There's more than enough for everyone. And when you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, you free yourself from the chains of comparison and self-doubt. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you start to focus on what you deserve. And you realize you deserve it all. You deserve love, success, fulfillment, and peace. It's not about taking from others, it's about creating a life where there's enough for everyone, including you. When you believe there's enough, you start making room for more opportunities, more connections, more joy, and that abundance will start showing up in your life. Shift your focus from what you don't have to what you do deserve, and watch how everything begins to shift. Imagine your self-worth as a garden. It starts as a seed, but if you don't nurture it, it won't grow. If you neglect it, it withers and fades away. Just like a garden needs sunlight, water, and care, your self-worth needs attention, love, and respect. When you tend to it, when you feed it with self-care, positive thoughts, and healthy boundaries, it grows into something beautiful. But if you ignore it, if you allow weeds of doubt, guilt, and fear to creep in, that garden will remain barren. Your life is the same. The foundation of your self-worth is the soil that holds everything together. Without a strong, healthy foundation, nothing can grow. So you need to be intentional about nurturing it. Take care of yourself. Do the things that make you feel valued. Protect your peace. Water your garden daily with affirmations, healthy habits, and the knowledge that you are enough. The more you tend to your self-worth, the more it will bloom into a thriving, abundant life. It's time to start planting the seeds that will grow into the life you deserve. Embrace your worth, protect it, cultivate it. When you do, everything else will follow. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of giving, doing, and never receiving the same in return? Or maybe you've worked so hard to keep others happy that you've lost sight of your own needs and desires. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. You don't have to live like this anymore. Today marks a new chapter, a chapter where you take control, reclaim your energy, and start living for yourself. This isn't about a one-time burst of motivation. It's about actionable steps, real change, and creating a balanced life. In this speech, I'm going to guide you through how to take the lessons you've learned and turn them into real progress. The time for waiting is over. Now it's time to take action and move forward. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear will give you the tools to reclaim your life, your energy, and your balance. The first step to reclaiming your energy is taking control of your actions. Stop waiting for things to change on their own. Change starts with you. Right now, you have the power to make a difference. So what can you do today? Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with big plans that feel impossible. Begin with simple, actionable steps. If you've been overgiving, start by saying no to things that drain you. Protect your time, your energy, and your peace. Even one small boundary can make a huge difference. This is about building momentum. The first steps might feel challenging, but as you take them, you'll feel the shift. You'll start to see how it feels to take care of yourself, and that energy will fuel your next move. Remember, this is about progress, not perfection. One step forward is all you need to start creating a balanced life. Creating change doesn't stop once you take the first step. It's about sustaining your progress every single day. The most effective way to do this? Develop daily habits that reinforce your boundaries. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your routine. Every day, take time for yourself. Whether it's 5 minutes of quiet time, a walk outside, or simply saying no to something that doesn't serve you. The key is repetition. The more you make these habits a part of your daily life, the more natural they will become. Even on tough days, these habits will keep you grounded. They will remind you of your worth and reinforce the changes you've made. Over time, these small actions will build into a solid foundation that keeps you moving forward. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about the effort you put in, day after day. Let me tell you something, consistency is the key to long-term success. It's easy to think that quick fixes will bring fast results, but let's be real, true transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens with steady, consistent effort. The small actions you take every day are what will add up to big change. Focus on doing the right thing consistently, not on being perfect. If you focus on daily effort, whether it's setting a boundary, practicing self-care, or simply saying no when you need to, you will see progress. It's those small, steady actions that create lasting change. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. Trust the process. Your effort will pay off. Focus on being consistent, not perfect, and watch how far you can go. As you move forward, remember you deserve to receive as much as you give. So many of us are conditioned to give. And while that's a beautiful thing, it shouldn't come at the expense of your own needs. When you embrace the balance of giving and receiving, you allow yourself to be replenished. This shift, this simple recognition will change everything. It will transform your relationships, your career, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself. You have the power to create the life you want, one that is balanced, fulfilling, and rich with love and respect. So embrace this change today. Start creating the life you deserve one step at a time. You have everything it takes. Now go out there and make it happen.